The new film, The Odyssey, the story kind of parallels the stories of the Bible: love, avarice, and revenge. Zeus creates the tradition of welcoming the stranger, and it has some bad consequences. Obviously, God has some issues. He created us and then let us sin so he could forgive us. Give me a break. My friend Nancy and we want to create the Church of the Godless. We think we could make a compelling case. I'm not really all that into praying anyway. I think God caught on to my deal a long time ago. Welcome. Welcome to Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. Recently, we talked about having pushback moments, my will and God's will, having an agenda, premise and distortion, and underlying conditions. The readings at Washington National Cathedral this weekend were from Genesis. Sometimes we're between a rock and a hard place. And from Romans, we're calling God with the wrong phone number, but he's answering anyway. The gospel reading was from Matthew. Only God can tell the difference between the wheat and the weeds. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Leonard Hamlin. Mr. Hamlin said we all want to hear a light and breezy summer sermon. Our summer assignment is uninterrupted, though, by the affairs and vicissitudes of the world, including the oppressive heat and smoke from neighboring fires. Last week, Rose Duncan, in her sermon, told us that things are so bad that we must take action. And this week, Mr. Hamlin said, not so fast. We could make things worse. And we should probably just leave it in God's hands. We're called to remain steadfast instead of giving into fear and acting rashly. Martin Luther King said that the biggest danger is misguided action when we feel threatened. We can become the very evil we're trying to conquer. We want to experience the better days ahead, and we have faith that they are coming. The heart can never be right when our head is in the wrong place. It takes learning and understanding. Plus, we're empowered to know what is right by God Himself. God's true family is the family who do God's will. It's the wheat growing amongst the weeds. God knows who is who. And He wants us to go out and be with the weeds as well as the wheat. We're supposed to leave it in God's hands. That's the point of the parable, the wheat and the tares. We can try to learn from it and understand it, or we can just hear it. In all the craziness of these times, let's lean into that God will provide, and we can have faith, and we can be the family of God doing God's will. At St. James Cathedral here in Chicago, the sermon was by Lisa Hackney James. Lisa preached about the wheat and the tares, even though they've gotten rid of the word tares, and now they call it the weeds. Lisa said we should think about what weeds are growing in our own minds, beliefs, and practices, and even in our muscle memory, our daily living. What is it that doesn't serve us anymore? And what is it that we need to leave behind because it's no longer authentic to who we are or the place we're in? Lisa mentioned casually that music director Stephen Bizard was leaving for Grace Cathedral soon. And that was a small detail I missed in that story. I first learned about Stephen's leaving in the locker room at the East Bank Club. And now, this important detail. You really need to listen closely to the ever unfolding story at St. James to really know what's going on. I'm a pretty trusting person, but I realized recently it doesn't mean that the people I'm trusting are worth trusting. It's to my credit and not theirs. I'm the worthy person, not them. Um, it's kind of like they're space fillers. They're space fillers among the wheat and the tares. Probably not worthy of our trust. But God will figure it all out in the end. I've experienced some bad consequences in the process of trusting people and welcoming people in. Some have kind of tread on me. Someday, when I write my tell all book, it'll all be revealed. And the names will not be changed to protect the innocent because there is nobody innocent in this story. In the opera Lulu by Alban Berg, the leading character, Lulu, kills her husband and I think her lover in a manic rage. She escapes from prison by donning the garb of a tuberculosis corpse. She exits the prison in a truck of dead bodies. Of course, she contracts tuberculosis in the process. We're all trying to exit dicey situations in our lives, but you have to make sure that the remedy is not worse than the cure. If you would like to join us at coffee hour, I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.